What up, fight world? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now, while boxing's Amir Khan is targeting Conor McGregor in the UFC, there's another UFC versus boxing beef that is currently on the horizon. That's UFC Dana White versus Bob Arum. I'm going to give you guys the breakdown and then give some brief thoughts on it. Now, Top Ranks Bob Arum, he's been promoting the Crawford versus Postal fight, the weigh-ins tomorrow, the fights this Saturday. And during the press conference, he made a lot of statements attacking Dana White and the UFC, and obviously Dana White didn't like it and he fired back. So I want to start off with what Bob Arum said, and then I'll go to Dana White's rebuttal. Now, Bob Arum says, "I don't think drug testing is particularly necessary as far as fighters are concerned. Most fighters obey the rules. It's probably more necessary in MMA because they appear to be unconcerned with the testing. What the hell? As long as the tests come out after the fight, right? Everybody's collecting money. Just saying. Just saying." And he's obviously referring to UFC 200, where the co-main event or the main event, Jon Jones and Brock Lesnar both tested positive. Definitely not a good look for UFC 200 card, having headliners test positive, both of them. Now, Jon Jones, his happened before the actual fight, so he was removed from the card. They replaced it with Anderson Silva. Brock Lesnar's test was revealed after the fight, right? Bob Arum goes on to say, "You got MMA. It just sold for billions of dollars. Good luck to them. And for some reason, they can buy off lobbyists so they're not subjected to the Muhammad Ali Act like promoters are in boxing. Just saying." Then he goes on to say, "In boxing, we have a lot of minorities, African Americans, Hispanics, Jewish promoters, people like that. And pretty much we're Democrats. MMA people, they're for Trump. You ever look at an MMA audience? Of course they're for Trump." So that was Bob Arum's tirade to the UFC's Dana White. Dana White clearly didn't like it. He responded back to MMA Junkie via text message and says, "Does anyone give a fuck about Bob Arum or what he thinks? I didn't know he was still alive. I remember a bitter, fat, red, alcohol abuse faced Arum chirping about the oodles of money the Fertettas were going to lose on the UFC, and that was 10 years ago. Arum is the biggest dirtbag in all of sports. I look forward to sticking around and continuing to kick his ass in every aspect of our business." So he's not playing, and he called Bob Arum the biggest dirtbag in all of sports. He clearly didn't like what Bob Arum had to say. So I want to know what you guys think of this whole UFC versus boxing beef. Dana White, he just made a lot of money with the UFC, which sold. I didn't get a chance to make a video about it, but Bob Arum's basically saying they don't really care, and they're Trump supporters. They don't really care about the rules. They're trying to collect the paycheck, and he refers to them as the Republicans over Democrats if you were to look at the political parties. Now, we all know Trump. I'm not trying to get too political, but we all know what Trump brings to the table, to the equation. You guys let me know. And do you think Bob Arum has a point? Do you agree with Dana White? What sport is greater? I do think the thing I do, for me personally, I do agree with Bob Arum, is the drug testing is a big problem in the UFC. Now, I give the UFC structure, they get credit for certain things. Like a lot of times, since there's not so many, Dana White is like, Bellator is not as big as UFC, and the other companies aren't as big as the UFC. So you get the best matches, a lot of good matches when they're relevant. You know what I mean? Like Conor McGregor is supposed to fight RDA, and then he got injured, so they fought Nate Diaz, and he got upset, and now they're doing an immediate rematch. So you do get a lot of stuff like that. So that's one of the pros for UFC. One of the cons is they just picked up Reebok, so a lot of fighters lost their endorsements and not making as much money, and the fighter pay scale is nowhere near what boxers get. There's some like middle of the road level boxers, like let's say Devin Alexander. Look at, you guys do the research, but look at how much he got versus Jesus Soto Caras, which was a middle of the road type of fight. Look at how much his purse salary was versus, let's say, like Miesha Tate in her last fight, where she got her ass beat by Amanda Nunes. It's very different. A lot of times in the UFC, they have like very low base salaries, and if they're a main event, they may get some pay-per-view proceeds, like a Conor McGregor if they're a big star, or a win bonus, but that's not guaranteed. You know what I mean? There's no guarantee that you'll win, and it's crazy. So I agree with Bob Arum with certain things. There's clearly, I watch both. I obviously nothing is going to trump boxing. No pun intended. Nothing is going to trump boxing though for me. Boxing, I've been a lifelong fan. I like the discipline better, but I don't have any problem with UFC. It's entertaining. Sometimes I watch the matchups, but it clearly doesn't hold a candle for me like boxing does. A lot of people say for years UFC was taking over and no one cares about boxing, but again, tell me what UFC fighter has made a Mayweather versus Pacquiao the salaries that they got and had the amount of eyes watch them. You have people in UFC talking about Mayweather, Pacquiao, whether it was good, bad, or whatever. It was all publicity. When there's other fights that are big fights in the UFC, let's say Chad Mendes and Conor McGregor, it doesn't do the numbers that Mayweather, Pacquiao did, or even Mayweather, Canelo. You know what I mean? Those are like fights that are the live gates. Just look at the numbers. You know what I mean? Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. So let me know what you guys think. I'm not trying to play sides or whatever. I like sports in general. So I'm not going to go do this back and forth. You guys let me know what you think based on what Bob Arum said and what Dana White said. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you like my video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.